It's time to grow, time to go. It's time to grow, everybody. Time to grow and time to go. Move, move it forward. I don't know about you, but there's so many times as an owner of a company, as a director, you may feel inside that it's time to grow the company, grow the bottom line, grow from where you are, grow the business, but it doesn't always feel good. Here's how you know when it's time to grow. It's going to seem kind of weird, but this is how you know it's time to grow. Number one, when it's hard to make ends meet. You have a budget, you have payroll, you have things that need to be paid out, and it's hard to meet the financial obligation. It's time to grow if that is you. Another time that you know it's time to grow is if your office space has you've outgrown your office space basically. Your staff are on top of each other, they're sharing space. There's we need expansion. It may be time for you to grow. And then you know it's time to grow if you find yourself trying to cut back on things. Now, let's talk about this a little bit. So, oftentimes when I consult with people and I've consulted with CEOs, business owners, I've often told them, you know what? Do what makes financial sense in the moment for your company. Do what makes financial sense. So in our mind, we see something grand, we see something big, but our bottom line does not match it sometimes when you're first getting started. And what I always say is, if you have a goal set, if you have the resource, don't go and use all of that resource immediately just because you have this vision. Be wise with this resource until it becomes uncomfortable. I've been consulting people for years with their businesses, and I've sat with people who have money to do a project. They have big money to do a project, and they'll give me the big vision and they'll say, hey, I want to have this, I want to have this, and I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this. And I say, does that make financial sense? And they may say, yeah, well, I have the money. Why not? You have the money. The whole idea is the fact that you have the money doesn't mean that you go and blow it and put yourself in a predicament where your overhead is too high before you make the money fast enough. You'll put yourself in a tight situation. If you're watching or listening, this is it for you today. This is a good conversation here. It may not feel good, but it's a good one. If you're a director of a program and the office space is now too small. Your staff are having to share offices. They're tired. They're complaining. They want their own desk. If that is you, you might want to look at your finances. Go back to the bottom line and say, "Hey, if I have that much staff, then I must be producing at a certain rate, which means my bottom line should look good enough for me to now move to a larger building." So, the person that I'm telling you about that I've sat with, the business owners, the CEOs who have this large money, sometimes they want to start large just because they have the money. And I tell them, don't start large in terms of a physical building. Do what makes sense in that moment, which simply means if you still have a growth spurt, you still need to grow into the business. Don't go and purchase a huge office space. Stick with the medium size of the small office space. Work it until it becomes uncomfortable physically. When it physically becomes uncomfortable because your staff are now on top of each other, your customers are flowing through the door, your bottom line should match that. On one side, you're feeling crowded. On the other side, your money should be looking like, wow, we're doing something. If that is the case, it's time to now go look at it makes financial sense because the company is now making enough money to afford a larger space. It's now time to grow. So sometimes growth doesn't feel good. As a matter of fact, 99% of the time, when it's time to grow, it doesn't feel good. That's how you know it's time to grow. You get the complaints. You get the complaints from staff. You get the complaints from your directors. You know, also when this is another concept for you, when it's hard to make ends meet. So, oftentimes as directors, as CEOs, when that happens, we start looking at what we can cut back immediately. I can't tell you the number of times of administrators, directors, people around me have said, "Oh my goodness, we can't afford that. It's time to cut back. We could cut back here." I mean, they're quick to jump to it, quick to jump to what we can cut back. I am challenging you here today. I'm having a straightforward conversation. I want to talk to you about doing something different, growing and not cutting back, growing and not cutting back. See, that is always our number one solution. I don't know about you, but sometimes in the office, my administrators will come to me and I'll say, "Hey, I'm bringing on a new person. I'm interviewing." They go, "Hold on. We don't have enough money to give the raises. We don't have enough money yet to hire someone new." But me as CEO have a bigger vision. I know how this works. So it becomes uncomfortable in the financial house. It's time to grow. It's not time to stunt your growth. It's time to grow. So sometimes the people around you, and even if you're a director, it feels odd because you're looking at the bottom line and numbers. You're saying, "This is not working. We need to cut back." I say, don't cut back. I say, let it be the fire underneath your behind. Get up and make it work. If you get up and start making the business grow, you obviously have something that's making money. So if you've opened up the floodgate, the vessel to pump the money through, and it's not pumping enough money to meet the needs that you have on the table, I say it's time to grow it. I say, don't look at the bottom line. Start looking at the staff. Start looking at what you're doing. Start looking at, are you putting forth the effort that you need to put forth? Are you too top heavy with people that are just sitting around and you have more money going out than the people are working? If that's the case, get the people on it. Get one person doing two things now. Get one person picking up a couple of extra tasks. Don't cut back. Move it forward. It's actually time to grow. Oh, yes, it's time to grow. I'm in this predicament right now in one of my companies. I have a company and we are we have a great team of staff. We have a few clients coming through. We need to go out there and market and get more clients. So I'm looking to my team now instead of them saying, "Hey, we can't afford to bring on a nurse or we can't afford to bring on this person." We can afford it if you get out there and work. We can afford it if you grow. A new mindset, guys. So if you are looking at your bottom line every month, you're noticing that you're not making ends meet. Yes, there could be a number of other things going on. But for some reason, the first thing that people around you are going to want to do is they're going to want to cut back. So, okay, I'll give you that one. If you are overspending in an area, then let's just call it that. If you're just being ridiculous, with spending in a certain area, let's call it that. And let's stop doing that and reallocate that money. Notice the choice of words. Reallocate the money. I didn't use the language cut back. If you want to fire me up, in a meeting, in an office space, in my business, start talking about cutbacks. I promise you, this thing fires me up. It ticks me off when people talk about cutting back because to me, cutting back means you're complacent. Cutting back means you're okay with staying mediocre. Cutting back means you're okay with the company being stagnant, staying where it is, or possibly folding or going in the opposite direction. I didn't get in the business to go backwards. So yeah, it's gonna be uncomfortable sometimes. And as a matter of fact, when it's uncomfortable, it's a good thing. When it's uncomfortable because the bottom line and you're going to bed, you're stressing about the money. I say use that to work for you and not against you. I know it's edgy. And I am calling you out on it. And look at the language you're using. Stay out of the negative energy. Energy in your office space will begin to grow. So if you have a negative energy that's growing, that's going to be a complaining energy. A lack mindset brings a lack energy, which brings a lack of wanting to work. So you want to shift that. If you are not spending the resources that you currently have wisely, Notice my language. It might not be that you're lacking. It might be that you have an abundance and you're just not managing the abundance and the resources you have. So you might need to reallocate. Reallocate. I had to talk to one of my clients today about it. Long strategy session. And they wanted to go back and forth with why they needed all this extra staff. But when we stopped and we peeled back and we looked at the company in its entirety, we looked at the staff that was already there. We looked at this new staff that they now want to bring on. And then we looked at what's actually going on in the company. Where are the customers coming from? If your staff is outweighing the customer base, something's wrong. Something's wrong. We need to reallocate the resources, reallocate the positions, look at what's really going on. Are people just sitting around collecting a check and not applying themselves? Is that why the company's not growing? Are you, as a CEO, not out in the community, hiring marketing teams, getting out there talking about the company, the vision, bringing back business to the company? Is it you that's holding up the growth? Are you stunting the growth? Directors, is are you stunting the growth of the company because you're scared to uh, not to go over budget? Maybe you're afraid to go over budget and you're trying to keep the company at a certain budget. I understand strategy, but I want to turn the tables upside down. I want to scramble up your minds today because my version of a company that's on the route for success is growth. I don't know about you, but staying stagnant or reaching a goal and being okay with that and just sticking with the system for that is not okay with me. It's time to grow. I'd push a lot of buttons. I make people bite their nails sometimes in my company because they're saying, whoa, slow down. You can't add that. Don't buy that. Don't get this. And I go, I'm getting it. It's time to get in the seat and make some stuff happen because we got to pay for some things. My mindset is a mindset of one that moves towards growth. If you're a director and you're joining this conversation today, I want you to challenge yourself. And if budgeting is an issue in the company that you are directing, I want you to go back and look at that budget. And if staying in the budget is more of a focus for the company you work for, I want you as a director to come up with solutions to grow the company. I challenge you to go back to that company, back to that CEO, back to the administrators and say, hey, we're constantly afraid of going over budget. We don't seem to have a budget. I want to stay in solution. How do we grow the budget? What do we do to bring more business? So if you can shift for a moment and start thinking about using positive forward thinking language, grow the business, grow the bottom line, reallocate the resources we have, reallocate the resources we have, create new money, create and grow new money, grow new opportunities. I had another coaching client earlier this week that I was talking to, and I had to just stop her in the middle of this session. I had to say, listen, my challenge to you is to not use another negative word. I don't want to hear you talk about this doesn't work. This is not working. Here's why I'm not doing it. Because all of that is causing an energetic force of lack, of poverty, of moving backwards and not moving the company forward. I said, I want you to start when you get on these calls with me. I said, I want you to start saying, here's my opportunities to grow. Here's my opportunities to grow. You hear what I'm telling you? Instead of your team and creating an environment of lack and saying, we don't have that. We're not able to do that at this time. Let's shift that and say, we will be able to do that 3 months from now because we are implementing a growth policy. And our growth policy says that we are looking at areas of opportunities for growth within the company. Do you hear anything negative there? And you can feel my energy too, because I feel good about it. And that's what you want your offices to do. If you're a director and you're listening, go back. I'm challenging you, change the mindset, change the energetic forces. Look at that bottom line. tackle it. Wake up and not look at the fact that you are not meeting ends, or the ends are not meeting the end of the month. Let's not look at that as something negative. Let's shift ourselves and look at it as an opportunity for growth. What can we put our heads together? How can we get more customers in the door? What do we need to reallocate that we're currently doing? And how do we grow this company and reach this next goal? And not focus on the things that we're lacking, the fact that we can't pay this, the fact that we can't pay that. Oh, we need to cut back. Cut it out. Cut out that conversation around you. CEOs, don't let the people that are working for you come to you with this lack mindset. They're going to come to you, let them talk, shift them immediately. You are the speed of your company. CEO, you're the speed of the company, your energy of the company. And if you allow the people to beat you down and then you begin to join them in this concept, this company's not going anywhere. Trust me. If you allow the people around you to get you so worried that you no longer can use your creative mindset to grow, you're going to cause your company to stifle, possibly fold, or move in the opposite direction than you want it to. Put the goals in front of you, reallocate your language, change your language to positivity, which triggers something in the minds of the people around you. And let's get into growth and not lack. Let's get into growth and not decreasing. I'm ready to make this stuff happen. I don't know about you, but it's time to get up, get out, get to moving, and get growing, people. We got things to do, places to go, stuff to buy, things to spend it on, happiness to have, vacations to go on, things to shop for. We got things to do that cost money. Don't be afraid of it. Stop going backwards. Stop talking about the stuff you can't afford. Let's make it affordable by going out there and doing something about it other than complaining.